Welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for coming. My name is Oliver Byabosi, and I'm a student here at Yale Divinity School. And Prudy and I were organizing this event. And we are very grateful to the panelists here and for coming here. And also, we are grateful to the organizations for sending them here. And we're very fortunate to have these panelists and our moderator, Professor Scott, because they have kind of first-hand experience of Burma. And I'd like to introduce our panelists to you. The first panelist is Gawsita. He's up there in the saffron color. Gawsita was one of the leaders of Saffron Revolution in 2007, September. And he is currently a member of All Burma Monks Alliance and raising awareness among American public about political situations in Burma. And you have handouts about their short biographies. There's more details in that. And the second panelist is Myra Dahgayphaw. She's right here, and she belongs to Karen ethnic group in Burma. And she's currently working for U.S. Campaign for Burma. And Myra is also a member of Karen Women's Organization and a board member of Karen American Communities Foundation. And our third panelist is Gawsita. He's a long-lost friend of mine. I first met him in Rangoon in 1993 when I was a high school student and when he was working for the British Embassy. And before that, he worked as a faculty member of Rangoon Arts and Science University. And he was dismissed from his position for his allegedly involvement in 1988 political uprising. And then Gawsita has worked for the BBC Burmese service for 13 years as a journalist and editor, and is currently working as an editor for Voice of America, Burmese service. And he studied history at Rangoon University and international politics at London University. And our Professor James Scott is right here. And he is the one and only Burma specialist at Yale. I'm very grateful for his support for this public forum on democracy in Burma. Today he will be moderating our panel discussions. And Professor Scott is Sterling Professor of Political Science and also Professor of Anthropology at Yale. He has written many books, especially around the area of peasants' resistance against central domination in Southeast Asia. His recent book is a very interesting one. Its title is Not Being Governed. I'm getting it correct? The art of not being governed. And it's about how Hill people in Southeast Asia use Christianity and animism, etc., as a source of resistance and distance from the domination of the lowland people. And mostly, I'm very grateful to Southeast Asia Council at Yale for funding this event. I submitted the funding proposal on October 4, 10:30 p.m. at night. And the next morning, I woke up, and to my surprise, it was already approved. And this shows the seriousness of Yale University in supporting Burmese democracy as an urgent issue for public discussions and debates. I'm particularly grateful to Christine, manager of Southeast Asia Council, who has worked tirelessly over the past 3 weeks. We organized this in 3 weeks' time, so she has given me all the directions and close backup for organizing this event. I think without her help, this event would not be possible. I'm also grateful to Pruti and friends from Amnesty International Student Group and for publicizing this event. And I want to say thank you to Yale Divinity School for supporting our event with AV services and many other things. And I'm grateful to friends and volunteers for this event. I'm very inspired by the enormous support and assistance I have received from friends, professors, and staff members at Yale over the past 3 weeks. I hope our public forum will not only promote awareness and critical public discussions about democracy in Burma, but also inspire other Burmese students studying in different countries and different institutions to initiate a similar public forum and discussion. And we'd like to start our panel discussion with Gawsita.
Digane Uzin Patamauzon in Belgium Mare. The Buego, Mapia on season made the art season Bogori to the Pie, Uzinoye or Ning Yamanga Miadini Dalare, Ako Mamiago, Uzin the car, Pio Queen Yare at Twajam, Premauzon Chizu Dinel, Uzin Piosimare.
I would like to thank the organizers of this event and for those who are attending this event.
Uzin Amiaro, Ugodida Pibare, Uzina, Miyama Bima Muivido, Boda Bada Yandava Pibare.
My name is Gawsita. I was born in Burma and I am a Buddhist monk.
Nabeme Uzin the Boda Banda Sabiu, Sananita Ayurega Nibido, Uzin, Lila Kere, Tanase Jo Tikinichi Tibono.
I study Buddhism since I was 12 years old.
Hello, Boda Bada Sabiu, Lila Yene Uzino, Ludu Ludanza, La Dudine Uzino Sasangere, Sasangere Kama, Uzino Mima Nanganga, Senior Muri, Piduri, Jade Muri, Uzin Satin, 20 years.
As I was studying Buddhism, and I was also in contact with the people, and I studied that the people of Burma are suffering and getting poor.
Hello, Uzino Mima Nangama, Senior Jade Muri, Pajam Pitale, Uzin Kuku, Piamido, Tonda de. Now, Lungeri Suraga Leve, among Quimido, Lingo Sound Yende. Lungeri Sura Tuda de Langu Chalare Kama, Uzinku, Uzin, Piamido, Tonda de Soundjad. Tunangam Biduri, Bajam Senior in the Lesura.
I was looking at the people suffering, and I can see that people want to become prosperous. However, I learn more and more what is the cause of that problem.
Hello, Uzino Nangama, Bajam de Lu Pipiani the Lesure Kajaro, who democracy corre Lola Swa Bioso Queen. Lola saw Yedwagan, Lola saw Kogo Queen so the democracy say don't move out, Uzino Mama Biduri, Senior Doka Yong, so that was in Tigere.
And I learned that Burma is suffering from freedom of writing, freedom of press, freedom of religion. That's why Burma is poor.
Hello, Tigere Chinga Savido Uzin, Luda Achobu Longani Pide. Uzino the Magin John Suraga, the HMV with an eye chain Uzin Kuni South Shout de logo, Sardin Bido, Natown Legu Negandi Uzin Sardin Lokeba, Uzin Tanasa lineage.
After I learning more and more, I started helping the HIV/AIDS patients at Magin Monastery since 2004.
Dilone Uzino Kuni Lion, now so. Uzino Nanganga Biduria, Twi Jade Moody, Miazwane, Jade Moody, Yensainare, Kama, 2007, so that's September, Poita Video Pietebono.
As I was helping those patients, and the country get into deeper and deeper troubles. That's why I got involved in the 2007 Saffron Revolution.
အဲ့လိုပွဲကြီးဖြစ်လာတဲ့အခါကျတော့လည်းပဲဦးဇင်းဟာကျောင်းသားပြည်သူတွေတန်ဃာတော်တွေကိုအားလုံးကိုဟိုခြေကနေဥဆောင်ပြီး hand speeder ကင်ပြီးတော့ပဲဒီတန်ဃာတော်တွေကိုဦးဇင်းတို့ငြိမ်းငြိမ်းချမ်းချမ်းနဲ့မေတ္တာပို့ဖို့ငြိမ်းငြိမ်းချမ်းချမ်းနဲ့လမ်းလျှောက်ဖို့အတွက်ကိုဦးဇင်းဆော်ဩပြီးတော့ဥဆောင်ဥရွက်လုပ်ခဲ့တယ်ပေါ့
During that Saffron Revolution, I led the students and the monks by holding up the bullhorn to protest peacefully and to be disciplined.
အဲ့လိုဦးဇင်းတို့ငြိမ်းငြိမ်းချမ်းချမ်းနဲ့လုပ်ခဲ့တဲ့ဟာကိုနာဖဦးဇင်းတို့လက်ရှိနိုင်ငံမှာအုပ်ချုပ်နေတဲ့စစ်အာဏာရှင်တွေပေါ့နော်စစ်အာဏာရှင်တွေကနေပြီးတော့ဒီဘုန်းကြီးတွေကအတူအယောင်တွေပါဆိုပြီးတော့ဦးဇင်းတို့ကိုစတင်ဖြိုခွဲတယ်ဦးဇင်းတို့ငြိမ်းငြိမ်းချမ်းချမ်းလုပ်ခဲ့တဲ့လူတွေကိုလည်းပဲမြန်မာပြည်ထဲမှာမနေနိုင်အောင်လိုက်ပြီးတော့နေရာအနှံ့ပိုက်စိတ်တိုက်ချပြီးဖမ်းဆီးတဲ့အတွက်ကြောင့်ဦးဇင်းဒီဘက်ထဲကိုပြေးလာခဲ့ပါတယ်
The military regime cracked down the peaceful protesters, and they make those protesters unlivable in Burma. So that's why I have to flee Burma.
အဲ့လိုပြေးလာတဲ့အခါမှာဦးဇင်း2009ခုနှစ်ဒီဇင်ဘာလ9ရက်နေ့မှာထိုင်းမြန်မာနယ်စပ်ကိုရောက်တယ်အဲ့ဒီကနေပြီးတော့ဦးဇင်း2008ခုနှစ်3လပိုင်းမှာအမေရိကန်နိုင်ငံကို refugee အဖြစ်ရောက်နေပါတယ်
I arrived to Thailand in 2007 December 5th, and I came to the United States March 2008 as a political refugee.
အဲ့တော့ဒီကိုရောက်တဲ့အခါကျတော့လည်းပဲဦးဇင်းတို့ဒီမှာ refugee နေနဲ့ရက်တည်ပြီးတော့ဦးဇင်းတို့လုပ်ခဲ့တဲ့အတိုင်းဦးဇင်းတို့ရဲ့အထဲထဲမှာရှိခဲ့တဲ့ဦးဇင်းတို့နဲ့အတူလုပ်ခဲ့တဲ့တန်ဃာတော်တွေကိုဦးဇင်းတို့တတ်နိုင်တဲ့လောက်ကူညီပေးတယ်ဒီမှာလည်းပဲဦးဇင်းတို့ဗမာမိသားစုတွေရဲ့ဗုဒ္ဓဘာသာကလေးတွေကိုဦးဇင်းတို့ဗမာစာတွေသင်ပေးတယ်နောက်ထွက်လာတဲ့တန်ဃာတော်တွေကိုလည်းပဲဦးဇင်းတို့ဟိုတတ်နိုင်တဲ့နေရာနေပြီးတော့ဗောနော်ဒီစတင်မာနဲ့ပြေးလာတဲ့တန်ဃာတော်တွေကိုဦးဇင်းတို့တတ်နိုင်တဲ့ဘက်ကနေပြီးတော့ကူညီပေးပါတယ်အခါအားလျော်စွာပဲအခုလိုတက္ကသိုလ်တွေကျောင်းတွေမှာလည်းဦးဇင်းတို့စကားလိုက်ပြောပါတယ်လို့
I am living here as a refugee, and I continue my work on Burma by supporting the monks who were able to come to the United States, and also I teach Burmese language to the Burmese children, and also we help those monks who were able to flee Burma and now living in Thailand and other areas. And also we do this kind of discussions and go around the country and to talk about Burma.
အဲ့တော့ဦးဇင်းဟာဦးဇင်းတို့ရောက်တဲ့နေရာမှာလူသားတွေရဲ့အကျိုးပြုလုပ်ငန်းတွေကိုဦးဇင်းတို့ကဘယ်နေရာပဲရောက်ဆက်ပြီးတော့လုပ်ပါမယ်ဆိုတာကိုဦးဇင်းပြောရင်းနဲ့ဦးဇင်းရဲ့တမိုင်းအချင်းချုပ်ကိုပေါ့ဦးဇင်းပြောပြပါတယ်နောက်တော့မှမေးခွန်းတွေ question တွေကိုဦးဇင်းတို့မေးနိုင်ပါတယ်
I can promise you that I will keep working for the humanity, and I will continue to do so. I will ask more questions later on if you have any. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for coming, and I'm really thankful to the organizers, Professor Scott, for making this happen. As you heard, my name is Myra Dahgayphaw from the Korean ethnic groups from Burma, and right now I am a campaign coordinator for the U.S. Campaign for Burma, and the U.S. Campaign for Burma is a U.S.-based organization dedicated to empower the grassroots activists around the world and also in the U.S. in order to rally for human rights and to bring an end of the military regime in Burma. And our mission is to build up a broad-based coalition of the grassroots and institutional support for freedom in Burma through public education, leadership development initiatives, and then also conferences and advocacy campaign. And also we work with policymakers in the States as well as, well, especially in the States, in order to increase the global pressure on Burma military regime in an effort towards realizing freedom in Burma. And should I assume that you might already know that the Burmese has been ruled by the successive military regimes since 1962, and the people of Burma have been oppressed, suffered for various kinds of human rights abuses, including but not limited to forced displacement, forced labor, torture, systematics and gang rape, and also murder by the Burmese military troops for decades. But these stories has been getting very little attention of the international community. And so for many years, the international community has watched the human rights nightmare that has been going on. And the Nobel Peace Prize winner Aung San Suu Kyi and almost about 2,200 political prisoners are still in jail. And also at the same time, the Buddhist monks are included. And until 2007, the monk uprising, when Gawsita picked up the leadership roles, and that's when the Burma situation got more international attention. But then, still, the ethnic issues are getting very little attention. So, from my personal witness, the Burmese military regime has destroyed more than 3,500 villages in eastern Burma alone, started from 1996. And we can compare this to the villages that destroyed in Sudan. And also in some cases, soldiers forced the villagers to destroy their own villages, to destroy their own crops, animals, and then get out of the village. And also, on top of that, more than 1 million people from Burma that have to flee for violence and oppression, and then they become the refugee in Thailand, and also India and Bangladesh, Malaysia. And on top of that, 600,000 villagers are hiding in jungle and caves as the internally displaced person where I was for more than 10 years. Their homes were burned down, the villages, and everything was destroyed. And on top of that, the military troops planted landmines in the village so that the villagers cannot come back and collect whatever stuff they have left in the village. So meaning that they have to get out there, build up another village. But then from there, the military troops come in and found out about the new village, burned it down again, planted the landmines, and then these people has to keep on fleeing from one place to another. The first time I remember fleeing for lives when I was about 7 years old. It was raining season, and one thing that I remember very well was that it was raining season and I had to sleep under a plastic trap. And the plastic trap wasn't big enough, so my upper part of body was covered, and so I was protected by the rain, but my bottom part was in the rain, so I was wet, but sleeping in the rain with half of my body. And I was so hungry, asking for food, and I was given a feast of white rice. But at the time, it was so hard for me to understand why my other siblings didn't get to eat rice, why I get to eat rice alone. But eventually, I learned that I was the youngest one in the family, and perhaps my family might be afraid that when I'm too hungry, I'm going to start crying, and it's going to get loud, and we're going to get captured by the troops. So I was sort of like comforted by that little feast of rice. And I also remember that there were many times that we had to run for lives in a year. And there was one time that I think I was about 10 years old when I remember we had to flee for lives twice in a month. And there was one night, in the middle of the night, my uncle came over and rushed me. He was like, pick up your bag and go with everyone to the river where the boat is. And I picked up my bag, and I went to the river where everyone was, and then eventually we were taken to the other side of the Selwyn River on the Thai soil. And then we went over in jungle to hide there for about a week. And after that, I learned from my uncle and other men in the village that our village was burned down completely, and there was nothing left. But then we couldn't go back. And after a week, when things were calmed down, and then my uncle and other men received the news that, okay, the troops were gone. Nobody was there anymore. Then my uncle and other men, they were like, okay, we'll go back to the village to see if there's anything that we can pick up, we can bring over to our family in order to feed them or whatever we can use. And among them, one of my aunts, distant aunt, she also went with the group. And the bad news was that on her way back to the village, she stepped on a landmine. So her left side was totally destroyed. So she lost a lot of blood, and my uncle and other men, they're trying to bring her to the closest jungle mobile clinic, but then before she reached the clinic, she already kind of like lost too much blood and she died. So, I mean, this is my personal story in my family, my relatives. But it's not a unique one. And there are hundreds of thousands of the people in Burma that have to suffer what I've suffered. But then our stories hasn't been told enough, and the international community has known very little about us, and they have done nothing yet. But then, meanwhile, the international community is also waiting for Thang Xuyen and the military troops to reform, to change the strategy of their ruling over Burma. But do you think, is this going to happen? Right now we are, as the campaign groups, we're also trying to campaign for the Commission of Inquiry, but then a lot of government, they were saying, okay, wait until the election is over, we'll see if there's any change. But one thing that I'd like to tell you this evening is that I don't expect the change will come after this November 7th election. So, I mean, two important things that I wanted to bring about to your attention about the Burma election that will be coming up on November 7th is that the first thing, instead of the constitution, instead of the people, the voices of people of Burma get out there in the international arena. We are kind of like pushed down by the many international countries because we're trying to they see that we're trying to put the regime into kind of like to pressure them to come to put them onto the witness stand or punishment. But then also on the other hand, the regime is coming up with their constitution, and we're saying that this constitution is not going to mean anything because this constitution is already reserved 25% for the military seats, and this 25% is guaranteed for both the national and then the state legislative bodies. And then the second thing is that even if it is true for the democratic opposition to, let's say, miraculously win the leftover 75% of the seat, but they still don't have enough to amend the constitution without the support of the military, because this 25% is given to the military. And so it means that this democratic opposition cannot rule the country. But also on top of that, what is wrong with this Burma constitution is that this constitution ensures that the military will have the power to control over the citizens on their daily basis, on their daily life. So the commander-in-chief will appoint by the the ministries of the defense or the home affairs or the border affairs. So meaning that here it's only the military that has the power after all. And I don't really want to go into so much into the election, but I also wanted to leave it for the space for question and answer to see what you might be interested in asking or knowing more about this constitution. But what I just wanted to conclude with today is that, I mean, the people of Burma are suffering, and they are hiding in jungle and caves. And the political prisoners are still in jail. And then Aung San Suu Kyi is still under house arrest, and we have no clue when she's going to be released. So meaning that the people of Burma, we have no voice, and so meaning that we don't have any way of expecting to have a civil government after this election. And therefore, Burma will just as much of a military dictatorship after November 7th election. Thank you.
Thank you, Myra. Uchozanda.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to distance myself from Voice of America. I'm working as a journalist with the Voice of America, but now what I'm talking is only my own opinion, nothing to do with Voice of America. And the second thing I would like to tell is I'm not an activist, like I'm not a hero. I'm sitting between two activists, hero activists. I'm just a journalist. So we're not supposed to take sides. Although I have a strong desire, a strong wish for a democratic Burma, a free Burma, I'm not an activist, so maybe I'm talking about what I think and what I see. I'm talking about the difficulties on the road to democracy in Burma. The military dictatorship is a stone wall on the road to democracy in Burma. Now, as everybody knows, since 1962, Burma is under military dictatorship, and there was an election in 1990, and National League for Democracy won a landslide victory, no power transfer. The military junta changed its name, and now they are going to have another election in a week's time. And yes, as Myra has suggested, this election is not free and fair election at all. It won't be. The Constitution had mentioned, yes, as she said, 25% reserved for the military. And it will be a presidential executive. A president will appoint the chief of commander-in-chief, and commander-in-chief have the power to take control of the state whenever he deemed there is a threat for the integration of the union. So he has every right to take control of the country again. They mention in the Constitution draft what is the principle, basic principles of the Constitution. One of the principles is military will play an important role in national politics in Burma. That is the most important thing. So they want to have a permanent coup, whatever is going on in Burma. And in this election, there will be two legislatures, Pidu Hluttaw and Myuda Hluttaw, upper house and lower house, about 300 in the lower house, and upper house is about 150 seats there. And states and regional legislatures, altogether there will be about 1,200 constituencies. So only the military proxy party, UNDP, United Union Development and Solidarity Party, will contest in all the constituency, in all the 1,200 constituencies. And another party contesting in all constituency is the NUP, National Unity Party, that is the successor of the long-ruling Burma Socialist Program Party under General Nguyen regime, BSPP. So these two parties, one is the military proxy party, another one is the BSPP, General Nguyen's successor of General Nguyen's party. So democratic parties have only 160 candidates and another party has only 57 candidates. It is impossible for the democratic parties to win the elections and to form a government to share power, nothing at all. But there are some hopes, as she mentioned, you know, some foreign governments are still expecting some structural change after the elections. And they are hoping a chance to talk to the new government, newly elected government. So as I see, there will be no direct change in structural or in any other way in power sharing or nothing at all. But we can expect some indirect change, maybe. It is likelihood is very low, but it is possible. Because some countries, they want to do business inside Burma, they want to invest in Burma, they will have an pretext or an excuse to do business in Burma. They will say, look, there is a constitutional government, it is an elected government, so that we can do business with Burma. So through those business contacts, maybe Burma in Burmese neighboring countries like China, India, and the ASEAN, they will do more investment in Burma, so maybe the economic development to some extent, only for the cronies, but they may later eventually have a growth of middle class. In Burma, there is no middle class at all at the moment. So through them, you know, they will create more space for them to do more business for their own interest. There will be more schools, possibly. Or through that, eventually, that may lead to the democratic process. That is the only slight hope regarding these elections. No other expectation. And that is the major problem. That is a stone wall towards the democracy in Burma. Of course, there are some other disturbances, let's call it stumbling blocks towards the democracy in Burma. The first thing is disunity everywhere, except the military. They never reveal, even if there is a disunity among themselves, they can find a resolution among themselves. But in opposition as well. And the diversity between the ethnic peoples and the Burmans, there are diversity and differences. That also is a stumbling block towards democracy in Burma. And if we look at the history after independence, immediately after the independence, the communists, they didn't accept the independence as a genuine independence, and they rebelled against the newly formed state, Union of Burma, and they went underground. And some other groups, political groups, followed suit. That's how the civil war began in Burma, and we never recover from that civil strife since then. Still, it is there. And another disunity is the division among the ruling AFPFL, Anti-Fascist and People's Freedom League. And that difference, the division, led the military coup, you know. General Nguyen took opportunity of that division and he came to power. Then it's still hanging around in Burma. That we are still under the military dictatorship. But the main causes are the division and disunity among the politicians. So the same thing happened more or less today in facing the upcoming elections. National League for Democracy, everybody is looking forward to hear what National League for Democracy will decide regarding these elections. And National League for Democracy said they boycott the election, but they do not instigate the people to boycott the elections. instead they said, you have to watch a close eyes in the election process. And you have to complain, to launch the complaint accordingly if there are some malpractices in elections. So people who are undecisive, what are they going to do? Who are they going to cast the vote for? They voted for the National League for Democracy, the Aung San Suu Kyi's party in 1990 elections. The same thing they are looking forward this time. And National League for Democracy is the only party, the only organization that can challenge the military government in the elections. So they have nowhere to go. They don't know until now, last minute, the people of Burma don't know who they have to cast their vote for, the ballot for. That is one disunity. And diversity between the ethnic people and the Burmans, people from Burma proper. Actually, the diversity is more or less the vertical diversity, the ruling class and the ordinary people. There is no clash, horizontal clash between the ethnic people and the Burmans. But ethnic people want to have a genuine federal union. That is the pretext for the military government. They want to disintegrate the union. They want to separate from Burma. That's why they came to power in 1962. That is, they said that actually the Burmese, not only the Burmese military, the Burman, some elements of Burmans, it is very difficult for them to understand what a general, the essence of the federation means. They still thought they are indoctrinated for the 50 years, since 1962 by the military government, consecutive military regimes. The federation is there, disintegration of the union. So we will have to do those things as well if you want to go to democracy. And foreign international community attitudes and their assistance towards democratization Burma. International community also is not united. There is no concerted effort for democratizing Burma, for nudging the military for democratization. Neighboring countries like ASEAN, China, India, they are doing something different. They want to engage, they want to do business, they want to have a lion's share in Burma, whereas the American-led, Western democracies want to give sanctions. Even then, the American, when Mr. Obama came to presidency, they're trying to tone down. They want to do engagement as well as sanctions, Caracas state policy, they said. So there are a lot of difficulties we have to face and if we want to have the democracy in Burma. So the only hope is, at the moment, that the eventual process, maybe there will be some space to widen the middle class, the sphere of the middle class, through the business investment. They will create new jobs from the Burmese people, maybe, at least through the investment of the neighboring countries, more schools, more education for them. And we, the foreign media, foreign radio stations, the problem with us is we were not allowed to cover the election process. So we have to give up. We can't do anything from outside. We have our contact from inside, but they don't have free access to the election process at all. So it is a very difficult situation to democratize Burma. That's all, thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we should open it to any questions you have for any of the panelists. I thought I'd say something just in an introductory way. I want to thank Oliver for organizing this. It's actually his baby. He brought it up, he conceived it, and although the Southeast Asia Council has helped to fund it, he's the man responsible. So I want to thank him. Just as a way of framing this a little bit, in 1960, I'm told, the Ford Foundation was deciding which countries of Southeast Asia were the most promising. And they decided that Burma was the most promising. At that point in 1960, Rangoon and Bangkok were more or less equivalent cities, about the same population, the same level of development, and the Ford Foundation decided Burma was a very good bet. The comparison now between the level of development in Thailand and Bangkok and Rangoon and in the countryside in particular is the difference between night and day. The education system, the medical system has been bankrupt for more than half a century. So this is a military regime that's now been in power for half a century, and they have, it seems to me, more or less destroyed the life chances of 2 generations of Burmese. And the election facade that they have erected, as Uchozantha was saying, will allow ASEAN and China and India to do business with Burma because it appeared to have an election, and the result of this is simply likely to be a scramble for the resources of Burma that are already being plundered, with the disguise of having had at least the facade of an election. Let me stop there and open it to any questions you have for any member of the panel.